for the next stage, what you need to do is place your table onto a bench, making sure that the legs are all on the same surface. So in this case, this is the piece of wood that I'm going to use to set this up. You can use the middle of the bench if you want to, but in most circumstances you can just do it on the edge like this. You're going to need the jig. This is the same jig that you used earlier on. You need to place this between the legs. You can then get yourself one of these shelves that have been cut out, and you need to place this on top of the jig, and we use the jig to set the shelf at the correct height. So the next stage, what you'll need to do is you're going to need 2 people for this. What you need to do is pull the legs into the shelf like so, and at the same time you need to check that the tabletops are level. Jonathan, do you want to go for the legs? So if you just get a little bit lower down, okay, so you're just pulling the legs in. Whilst you're doing that, you can put a spirit level onto the top. What we can do is, because we haven't glued these together yet, we can adjust this until we get the bubble into the correct position to indicate that it's level. So that's going to look something like that. We can then check in the opposite direction to check that it's level this way. Now, if your legs are pretty close, you won't have too much adjustment. Okay, John, do you want to let go? Okay, so on this one you can see that we need to lift the thing up a little bit like so. So what we can do is we can get what are called shims. And shims are thin pieces of metal. In this case I'm going to use steel rulers, and I'm going to put these underneath just to raise the height a little bit. Okay, so I've gone 1, 2, 3, and you can see now that we're starting to get this more level. So I'll take one out. And we make adjustments to the legs, putting shims in where we need, until we've got it level in this direction, As soon as you've done that, you're then ready for the next stage. Okay, so you'll notice that this leg here is, if we get this steel rule, you can see that it's about 3 millimeters from the piece of wood here. Now, that distance is the same as my flat pencil resting on the worktop, and you'll see that the tip of the pencil goes to about 3 millimeters. In this instance, you can get the pencil and you can draw around the legs. You need to draw around all 4 sides, and this is what's called scribing. And scribing is used to get things very accurate. You need to do that around all of the legs, and then that will get them. And then this is the amount of excess material that you need to remove on the legs that are still on the wooden bench. Okay. Okay, so for the next stage, what I've done is I've set up the table again. I've checked that it's level in both directions, this way and this way. I'm still using my jigs underneath to support the shelf, and what I'm going to do is mark out the location of the holes. So to do this, what we need to do is we can come to the end of our table. We need to measure up 90 millimeters from the base here, and we just draw little dot here. We can do the same on the other side here, and we then need to draw a line that goes across the 2 legs. So I've got a line here and a line here. So we've got 2 lines marked at 90 millimeters. The next stage is we measure from the inside of the legs 10 millimeters. So I've measured 10 millimeters in here, and I've measured 10 millimeters in here. Now I should add that this stage is very easy to make a mistake, because very often I've had students measure from the outside of the leg in, so some of them are from the inside, some of them are from the outside, and that inconsistency does look a bit of a mess. So it's very important you remember we're always measuring from the inside of the legs on both sides of the table. If you do that, then you'll do a great job. Okay, so what we need to do next is where we've made these marks, we then need to drill these, and to do that the easiest way is to use one of these drill bits here. Now this one here is a combined pilot hole, and you'll notice at the top here that it's got a countersink. The shoulder at the top, this point here, this means that I can't go too far into the wood, and by using this combination drill you can just get this next stage done very, very quickly. Okay, so the next stage we're going to create the holes and get the table screwed together. So what I'm going to do, this is really a two-person job. What we need is a small piece of the edging strip that will eventually be used around the shelf. And what we do is we just put that where the edging strip is going to be located, and we're trying to make the edging strip so that it's flush with the leg that's in this position here. Now you may need an assistant to do this, so if you can get your assistant to hold the piece of wood and the leg in the correct position, you can then get your combination drill and you can drill into the wood. Now I should add, before you do this, it is important that the table is set up correctly. It should, at the point that you're drilling, still be level in this direction. It's really important that we have that, otherwise when you create the holes are at the wrong angle. So check that it's level. We get the drill. I've got it nice and flush at the front. I've got my drill nice and level. So you can see there we've got the pilot hole and we've got the through hole. I can next get some of these black screws. I can get my screwdriver and I can screw the leg into place. Okay, so you screw the leg into place. You need to do that 4 more times using the scrap piece of edging on all 4 edges, and then we're ready to move on to the next stage. Okay, a further tip is if you're not careful, these veneers, they can splinter very easily. What happens is you've got your table and when it moves from side to side, these veneers peel away. So a way to stop that from happening is you get a piece of sandpaper and you create what are called bevels on the corners of the legs. And by creating a little bevel around the corners of the legs, that will prevent the veneers from splitting. And it's just a little tip to prevent that problem. And certainly where I have had my classes go through, I've probably had maybe 2 students, 3 students that have had this problem. So that's just one way of avoiding it.